This is the Championship Clubs podcast, the show that shines a light on English rugby's second flight. Join us every fortnight and check us out on the socials at Champ Clubs Pod on Instagram and Twitter. Welcome back with guest number 2 now, and we are keeping the bar high, and we're keeping it southwest with over 120 appearances for Gloucester and recently called into Eddie Jones' England training squad. I'm delighted to say Mark Atkinson is on the show. Mark, thanks very much for joining us.
Cheers, gents. Thanks very much for having me. It's been a while since I've seen that friendly face, so yeah, it's good to be on.
Hey, Aki, how you doing, mate? So let's just get straight into it, mate. You're in the England squad. I mean, what the fuck? How's that happened from nearly 10 years ago from when I first met you? So talk us through the how. Like, is it a text message? Is it an email? And then just talk us about the last couple of weeks, really, mate. It must have been amazing.
Mate, it is that, isn't it? I think it's like, I had this, I sort of in and around the idea in the summer, I believe. I'd had some emails saying, sort of, get yourself ready and this and that. So that was more, the summer was more like, I thought the club had said to me, oh, look, we think that's happening. And then nothing, just literally the day of, like the same as everyone else saw the announcement in the summer. I was like, do you know what? If it wasn't going to be in that sort of transition squad that he picked, then fair enough. That's probably me, that. And then we honestly, you get nothing. Like, I didn't even know a squad was being announced. And then we just had a little one about 7 weeks ago. My phone was in the baby's crib doing white noise. And then Lids had a message from Dan Robson's missus being like, oh, seen the WhatsApp group, congratulations. And we're like, what on earth is that? We not heard from her in ages. And then checked it. And all of a sudden, all it is like, my brothers were really disappointed. They were thinking like you'd get like a plaque or something being like, you've been selected, or a letter through in the post. Just straight WhatsApp group from the team manager saying, these are the details, you're in.
Richard Hill.
No. Like no. Although that was a surreal phone call. I got a call from him on the Friday being like, look, just want to check. And I was like, and I don't know, you don't know if fully appreciate, the younger boys in the squad probably don't fully appreciate who he is, I imagine. Because you might, like, there's 20-year-old boys, they're not supposed to really know who Richard Hill is, are they? And appreciate who he is. Whereas I'm going like, he's like, hi Mark, it's Richard Hill. I was like, fucking hell. Richard Hill's calling me. So that was a bit of a wake up moment. I got into the kitchen, I was like, mate, this is going to be wasted on you, but Richard Hill's just called. I'm going to have to phone my dad and just tell me about a phone call from Richard Hill. So that was a surreal moment. And then, just went in there after the game. We played Leicester on the Friday night. We were meeting on the Sunday. So went in, and Joe was weird. Like, I don't know what you're like in clubs, Mike, but I know, Gully, I know you like to be like comfortable and say what you think. And that's probably me here a little bit. You get into a certain groove, don't you? And you can sort of have an opinion, say, and I went in, and I was like, oh, hang on, this is new for the first time in 8 years. I was like, this is going to be, you can't just sort of walk into the gym and scream and shout at people and walk into the physio room and shout abuse at people. So it was weird, but it was really like good edge to it. Like, everyone there, I think there's nobody finds it too comfortable, which is probably what he wants and why it's a top level. You've got people who've got 50 caps and they're going like still on edge, still wanting to, and like everything about it I went in and I had this mindset of going like, I'd always wanted to go. If it was a weekend, if it was one camp, I'd always wanted to see what it was like in there. I just went that attitude of going like you're just gonna have to go and love this, because we had there was a 6:30 breakdown bit with Cockers where you were doing, and I was like, me a few years ago I'd have been going, nah, that's not for me. I'll just find like any old way to get out of this, or just go half-hearted. And I was like, nah, this is just go and love it and try and take whatever you can out of it. And it was brilliant. Like people don't do breakdown like they used to. Like, he just wants you to go do some technical stuff, and then same at our club, go do some technical stuff and then hit 10 or 5 hard ones. And that's all. It's all they ask you to do. And I was like, right, it's 6:30 in the morning. You're doing, another like pinch yourself moment. Like, you're doing breakdown with Cockerell at 6:30 in the morning. Just go and do it. You're going home tomorrow. So you might never be here. You might never be here again. Like the the kit man gave out all this kit, and like for the first time in years, I've taken it up to my room, and I was like, bloody hell, I'm excited by kit again. Like, I've put all this stuff on my bed, and I was like, there's more than you know what to do with. I was like, oh my God. And then he said, like, right, check all the sizing, like use it this weekend, and then we'll get it all measured up for you and get your initialed up for it for the next camp. And I was like, oh, hang on. Well, next, you want this back on the Monday or the Tuesday, you want this back, and then I'm going to get it back at the next camp. I was like, what if there's not a next camp for some of us? But no, it was everything I hoped it was going to be.
Yeah. And how was your interactions with Eddie Jones? I know Cockers, like Cocker played with my dad. When I loaned with Cockers at Leicester years ago, that was a long time ago now. And I've never been so impressed. The perception of Cockers is maybe different to the delivery of Cockers, and his technical knowledge is amazing. Like he's a great bloke as well. So how were those interactions?
Yeah, I think I probably had the same idea as you there about Cockers. I just sort of heard and saw the perception of the Leicester stuff and, tough man, blah, 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 all this. And I found completely opposite. Just, he was like, he came over, did a part of the back session. He did some breakdown. It was brilliant, detailed. And then all of a sudden you were like, right, that's done. It was just very well delivered, very concise. And I think I took quite a bit from it. And I found, like you just said then, I found it complete opposite to what I was expecting in a way. Yeah. Very, very, you just can tell how good he is, can't you, with your rugby interactions. Yeah. And then, I mean, I'd never had any interactions with Eddie before getting in there. So I enjoyed it. I knew, you sense he's going to be a character, don't you? And he delivers really. He knows how to put a squad together. I mean, you don't win that much, do you, without knowing how to interact? And it's brilliant. Like I like characters in the game. I'm fond of a few characters, and it's just good. Like the whole mindset is you are there to win rugby matches, which it's quite refreshing, because you're allowed to do it differently at England, I guess, than do it at club, aren't you? You don't have to be, you can do it differently. You don't have to be mates. You don't have to have the interactions in a way of your day to day. You can put stuff in your life on hold and go in there and win rugby matches, and then come back out to real life, can't you? In a way, which is an amazing situation, and it's probably why they've won so many games, I reckon.
Yeah. What happens now then, Mark? You just keep doing stuff for Gloucester and hoping to hear from Richard Hill again?
Yeah. I think, go. But he basically said to everyone, like, go and just. That was refreshing as well. Like, look, just go and play well. That's all. That's literally the only message. No, like, oh, look, this is wrong with your game. This is wrong with your game. I think probably everyone just got the same. Go away and play well, and we'll see where we're at. Basically, in a month's time or something? Is it for the autumn? And that's it. Like, what else can you ask for other than being told you are now in and around it? That's all you want to know, isn't it?
Yeah, cool.
As anyone, you got like, that's what I think. That's all I'd ever ask for. You go like, right, now you've got a crack, then it's up to you now. Before, you're never sure. When you've not been picked, someone asked me last week when it was announced. They're like, oh, have you had any resentment to squads in the past? And I was like, no, not in the slightest. Because you see, like, I've never thought of myself as in one of these squads. So therefore, you see these class players getting picked, and you realise how good they are, and you're like, fair enough. Like when I saw the squad, even I was like looking at census, I was like, oh, who's he not picked? I was like, nah, they're all really good. Yeah, okay. So there's no resentment in the slightest. I was just like, get yourself in there, smile, and see how it is.
Mate, I just think keep an eye on that WhatsApp group, mate. Because left the group.
What's that?
I'm just saying you keep an eye on that WhatsApp group.
Oh. I've not heard from that WhatsApp group in a while, have I? Because now you've been exited from the group. Aki has been removed by shot. Yeah.
Class. So Mark, then, if you don't mind, of course, this is a Championship Club podcast, and unsurprisingly, we love to shine a light a bit on the league. And whilst it's fantastic to see you got on to such great glory now in the England squad, I guess there was a time as a sort of a 19, 20-year-old where the Championship almost threw your career a lifeline. Is it fair to say in one respects? And I believe you dropped out of the Premiership academies and joined Isha.
Yeah. That was you're probably right there. Like I'd probably enjoyed myself at a touch too much. I reckon there's a lot of them out there, like fairly talented youngsters who go all right, don't really get a go, and then just drop out basically. And that was probably me. I was all right. I did the same as a lot of people, and in and around that England 20s mix, thought that life was going to be okay. Then basically, you get told that a lot, don't you? Like, oh, you played 20s, yeah, you'll go on and you'll kick on now, and you don't realise there's an element to like learning how to be a professional, and you don't really get taught that part of it enough. I don't think, like how it should be done, how you need to be, and you just like you go from being a kid at school, don't you, to being like this in this environment, and before you know it, it was whipped away from me. And then so I went to Esher. I've actually got I wonder how many people have done this, by the way. I've actually been relegated twice from 2 different clubs from the Champ.
I thought it was once.
Twice.
Hold on, let me guess.
Esher, yeah, I guided Esher as a 20-year-old fly. I guided them to relegation.
Sedgley
Park, yeah. Played 6 games for Sedgley Park in the year that it went from 16 to 12, I think it was. Is that right?
Yeah.
Be about, what, 2011-ish, I'd imagine?
2008, 9, I think it was it?
Oh, wow.
2008, 9, something like that?
Yeah.
When it went from 16 to 12, Gully was probably, where were you then?
Pirates then, yeah. Yeah, Pirates. Yeah.
You wouldn't have wanted interaction with me when I was getting relegated with Sedgley Park at that stage.
I was just running away from Jim Faree. He's going
yeah, so went to Esher, and genuinely, but I needed it. I played 25 games or something that year and loved it. And like I was like, we weren't very good, but we were playing. I played every week. I enjoyed the London life, but I tried to get the back end of that year. I was like, you need to start either taking it really seriously or get a job. And I was close. I was close to going, I could do this life. This is quite nice. This doing like, getting some money from Esher, do a job, start to build a career or whatever. And then Mike Raya threw me the actual lifeline, I'd say. Like Raya came to me and was like, I've seen you play. I think you could be a 12 for us rather than a 10. And I've been told that a few times. I don't know why I was trying to cling on to the idea of being a 10 because I was garbage. And then went to Bedford and met this big lump. We joined at the same time, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. I thought you were second. Yeah. I said this last week. And then you started with the offloads. I was like, never going to play.
Jeez, who's this bloke here? Yeah. Aren't the only second row with arms smaller than you? That's what you were thinking, weren't you? And then we had, I don't know, we had a team that clicked there, didn't we?
Yeah, we were lucky, really. We had the right experience, and mate, we enjoyed it off the field. We worked hard on it, and we won every week. It was a good formula. Yeah. Mike had the players that year.
Brilliant, like that, especially that first year. It was pretty, like it felt like something just went together. Like you said, like we had good youngsters, didn't we? Good youngsters who were still trying to push on, and the right blend of Sarries boys. Because I don't think this is a good one for you, by the way. So that there, he's just walked past smiling. Neil Jenkins. Do you want him on? He comes in to watch training once a week to see the Welsh lads. I reckon the young Welsh lads don't appreciate that either. Like, he's just walked past. I've just got a little bit giddy, the idea of him walking past. They're just going, yeah, whatever, that's Neil Jenkins. So we had that first year, like Mike Ryan knows how to put a squad together, though, doesn't he? He's got something where you like he still sees it really well. And like we had, would you say, I don't know what your thoughts are, Gully, but like the right level of the lone boys from Sarries?
Yeah, I think it was the first year they'd got it right. I think the year before it wasn't. No, the year after it wasn't quite right. But we had the right age as well. I think they weren't 18. They were like 19, 20, and we had like Ben Ransom came, didn't he? And he was just
he was brilliant, wasn't he? He was absolutely brilliant. I know you forget how like that he was perfect for us that year. And boys, he wanted to then kick on to being the Sarries team, and it was like the perfect balance of going like they appreciated what Bedford were doing for them because they knew that was their way in. Whereas I think the times it works worst is when you get dumped on a championship team for 3 weeks and you're resentful and you go, I'm better than this. Whereas most of those lads were like, I'm going to use this as an opportunity, which was good.
Yeah, and they did, didn't they? Well, and in terms of yourself, I know it's like, it's difficult to talk about yourself. Well, maybe not for you anymore, but like actually, like you're genuine though, mate. Like that period of your life, you talked about becoming a professional and learning to be a pro, although it was semi-pro. Like how was that? We always say like championship's a great tool, but it's over to the player once you're in it to kick on from there. How did that period of your life and that period at Bedford help you kick on at Gloucester? And now
I think it was like playing and seeing. So for the first time, then I was like, right, hang on, we're at the top of the champ now, aren't we? We were like competing with, we would compete with Newcastle. I know ultimately they did us, but like, they were still spending £4.5 million in a squad, weren't they? So that's what it's an impossible task, I think. But you get to that stage where you're looking around, going like, all right, well, we're now at the top of the league. So what are boys doing who are my age who are now doing well? And like, they're all taking it a little bit more seriously than you. And you're like, right, I start to look around and go, you can't get away with doing what you were doing. Well, or you make a decision, don't you? It's like you either carry on doing what you're doing and go, I could be in this league and I could maybe, or you go, well, there's boys who are not much better than me, but they seem to be playing week in, week out in the Premiership. That's what I was seeing these boys, and I was like, I don't think they're much better. Like, what are they doing? And it was probably just like a slight level of professionalism from me and learning how to be a professional. Like, not just I was like a kid. I don't think I ever like passed up an opportunity to go and piss or anything like that, or like any opportunity to do something where I was like, yep, that sounds great. Yep. It was always like excitement for all of it. And then that second year, I went to Mike Ray, and I was like, look, I think I'll just carry on doing the same for you. I don't think I'm going to get any better. Like, I went and did that year at Sarries, didn't I?
Yeah.
So I went the opposite route, which is like unconventional. I went and trained that, did all my weights and skills. Because I think you can say like the battle of boys who do work and then do the weights on the side and train. Geez, I'd reckon like that's the hardest thing about it. Like the boys who genuinely work, then do a real weights program and then train. I found myself just going, I'll just train.
Yeah.
Like I won't do my weights. I won't do my extra skills. And then all of a sudden I was like, I was at Sarries that second year. I don't think anybody would ever have known I was even there. I don't think half of their coaches knew I was there, but I was just doing weights full time again. And it was like, almost like the professional mindset kicked in. But say like we had suddenly a conditioner at Esher was non-existent. We had then Paddy at Bedford, didn't we? Who again made a huge difference because he like offered a level of professionalism that if you bought into, it was on offer for you, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, he was great. I was in that bloody 5 a.m. crew working, and it was brutal. But you did what you did, and we got the rewards, didn't we? And it was good.
Yeah. We had such a good team, and I still, you think of it as like probably the first year. The second year, I was a little bit more resentful. Once I wasn't allowed, because I also think, I don't know what your boys' thoughts are like. You have like an agreement in your head with clubs in the Championship, don't you? Like if there's a chance for a real move, I'm not saying boys should be allowed to walk away from contracts in the slightest, but like if you know that you've given your all and you then get a chance to go up and do a real move, not just a month-long loan which is going to do over your team, but a 2 or 3 year deal, and you go with our blessings, and that's I found like that a bit resentful in the last 4 or 5 months when I'm not with me in the rugby, me and the board above, like me and when I tried to go halfway through my. Nah, they asked for like more money than I was on, I think. I don't know, $6,000 left on my contract. They asked for 20. But it wasn't Mike in the slightest. Like we had our relationship was like father and son relationship at times, wasn't it? Yeah. And we still it wasn't. And I think he was the one. I put it down to like he was probably one of the people that saved. When you said offered a lifeline, it was Ray who really saved me and turned me around, I reckon. And not in what do you like not in a coaching way, is it, Gully? What is it like? How do you manage to do that? Because it wasn't necessarily the coaching, was it?
No, my first year there, I just like, why didn't I join this club 5 years ago? I don't know. I just felt like point, and then towards the end, maybe not. And I don't know. I just think we got lucky, mate, that year. But it's not luck, is it? Because Mike's been there 15 years now, and he's got, he's doing something right, and it's, they're still producing good characters and a good team. So
it reminds me a bit like.
It is a good club down there. Like, we're down there on Friday. There's still 3,000 people coming to watch, and the town buys into it. There's a good atmosphere. I know there's COVID protocols around the squad at the moment, but you could still see that even with this link with Northampton, there is a strong Bedford identity within it. And I think I've felt that every time that I've gone down to that club. And Mikey, he's got to take a massive sort of a massive kudos for that, because he has been the focal point of how long has he been there now? Like, it has been forever, it seems.
He'll be pushing.
What do you think of, like, when you see people move around? This is probably when you see people move around the Championship. That's probably a big one of, like, the people who do a 1 year here and then a 2 year there and then a what like that. Like, and it's fair for certain reasons for moving. There's reasoning, isn't there? But, like, I think one of the keys. Raya always seems to sign the right people, and I think you see someone like Exeter. Like, even when they bring in people, they always get the right people, don't they? The right personalities. I don't know what your experience has been like that especially in the Champ. I don't know what you think.
Yeah. I think, look, you can give a million reasons why lads will move around the league, can't you? I think there's often not too many other places to go if you're out of contract at one club, or there might be a better money move within the league. It's always going to be a confined amount of money with it being the league that it is. But yeah, Bedford do seem to get that right. As do Exeter. They very rarely sign big stars. I know, like, Stuart Hogg's gone there in recent years, but often not. They're not always signing superstars. A lot of academy growing, a lot of championship players there. But they do seem to get it right, and I think they've evolved with the times very well. I think this Northampton partnership that they've got now, it is looking like it is going to increasingly become the way to go. We've seen now, obviously, Nottingham with Leicester, Gloucester, Hartpury, Bristol sort of triangle, if you like. And, Mike's managed to keep himself relevant and sort of on top of that game for time and time again, and cyclically rebuilt squads that, the Bedford are very rarely struggling at the wrong end of the table, are they? Ever. And, like, I don't know the ins and outs of each club's budgets. You obviously know you've got your Ealings and everything else, but everyone else is, it's probably a similar sort of playing field. And Bedford always seem to, be up there or thereabouts every year, don't they?
I think
I certainly wasn't on Ben Gulliver type money, that's for sure. They made some big signings that year, but it was only one of us getting the right amount of money, that's for sure. Oh,
it now. Just what was I going to say? I was going to talk about you've been out of the league for 8 years now. And you're a Premiership player. You've played 120 games in the Premiership. What's the view amongst Prem boys, yourself, of the Champ these days?
So, yeah, it's a funny one. I think the more you see people get an opportunity. Like, I'll give you an example, like Kyle Moyle, who came to us last year, and suddenly just like slotted into being like a Premiership player, like straight. And you go, right, there's somebody who's fought away for 5 or 6 years down at Pirates, or maybe even longer, and probably again thought his time was done, and then just comes up. It makes people realise there is a lot of talent in the league. I think more now. 4 or 5 years ago, I reckon, when people were thinking it was done. People were thinking like the gravy train of getting some decent Championship contracts was all ending, wasn't it? And that seemed to be like winding down. And then all of a sudden, because of the squeeze on Premiership clubs, they're looking around going, well, hang on, like, we're paying these Southern Hemisphere players how much to come over, and some of them aren't producing. Whereas you need to fill your squad with some good Championship. That's what I think part of the key is. You sign some real good talent out of the Championship who still really want it. And we've done it this year. We'd say that, Will Britton come to us. Unfortunately did his hammy, but like, a couple of good players who, may or may not kick on, but you take a bit of a risk. And I reckon every club sees, is it Wasp signed that Hislop, and he started first week for them?
Yeah, done really well. He was up here, obviously did really well for us for a couple of years. And I mean, he got called into the Scotland squad over the summer. They've never played because of COVID, but just goes to show. Dan Frost down at Wasp as well, from Pirates. There's been a few, and I wondered, and I asked this to Gully off air, do you think that post-COVID we're seeing all professional clubs cut their cloth accordingly with new budgets, and does that make the Championship's hands stronger? Because let's be honest, you will be able to pick up a lad who's been playing Championship Rugby a lot cheaper than you can pull him out of a French setup or a Southern Hemisphere setup.
I think that's the way it's. What we're seeing these days is like each year, or you're squeezing out. It won't be the top end of the league that gets sacrificed. It's the boys who are still on the massive money. They're still going to be on the massive money. They're going to get that regardless. And they're the ones who bring in the crowds. And say for instance, we let Charles Pietaro and Rajazo go next year, and then go and do another deal with BT Sport. And BT Sport turn around and go, yeah, but why would we give you more money and you've let those stars go? The stars that people want to pay the subscription for aren't in the league. So those top stars, I still think will get and rightly so, they will get it. It'll be the middle ground, the middleman that gets squeezed out. And then we'll need to prop that up with, or the clubs will need to prop that with good players who aren't asking the world. Whereas a few years ago, you were looking around going, well, he's probably on this, he's probably on that. And it was all adding up. And there was loads of middle ground players who were earning too much in a way. And unfortunately, you're probably sacrificing 2 of them to get in 4 or 5. You don't want to say bits of meat but these bits, like a lot of bits of meat play like, you if you get a chance to come in, that's what I definitely would have signed as. And you get a chance to play, and then all of a sudden, one in 2.
That's what I was going to say, Mark. I mean, with all due respect, you would have gone to Gloucester as a quote-unquote bits of meat, and now you're in the England squad.
Yeah. Like you 1 in 3 comes through as a player, that, or 1 in 2, whatever it is. However you transition them, you pick the right ones, and they probably become regular players for you. Someone like Kyle. We signed Kyle last year, and he just went straight into playing, and it's probably him or Jason Woodward, and you probably guess who's on more from the club. But at the end of the day, like he's probably played 20 out of 30 games that he's been available for us. So, and I think one other thing is like coaches. It'll be interesting to do a bit of a markup of coaches who are young and English, who are happy to sign out of the Championship. So Skiv's here. He's guided Irish through, even though we don't allude to Irish as a Championship team, but he was in the Championship with Irish, wasn't he? I think it'd be interesting to see like someone like Blackett or Skivs here. It'd be interesting to see whether like what other clubs would take them out if you've got a Southern Hemisphere coach or a wherever, and you go, well, I'm not taking from the second tier over here. Whereas a lot of clubs, I reckon, would be happy to, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I think so. Mark, that was brilliant. I think it's a great time to call time on that as well. Best of luck for the season, and of course, everything that goes on with the England setup. You've been a great guest.
Cheers, gents. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, cheers, Aki. Appreciate it, mate.
That was the Championship Clubs podcast. Be sure to come back in a fortnight's time and follow us on social media at Champ Clubs Pod on Instagram and Twitter.